Hey everyone, for today's video, I wanted to make a quick video talking about an item that I think is severely underrated in Smite 2, especially in support. I think this item is very good. I don't think it's broken or anything like that, but I think this should definitely be picked up a lot more given what it does, especially if you're trying to win games as support. This item gives you a lot of agency in those games and it just lets you outplay your opponents super easily. And if you're communicating with your teammates, which you should be, this item can lead to some devastatingly good combos. So with all that said, the item that I am talking about is, of course, Scepter of Dominion. So over the course of this video, I'm going to talk about why I think you should be building it, when you should build it, as well as some certain use cases that this item is good in. And so let's go ahead and get started. So to get started, we're going to talk about the stats this item has. Scepter of Dominion is a fairly cheap support item, only costing about 2,400 gold, and it builds off of Gem, Medallion, and Circlet. Overall, this item is not super statted, but it does have a decent variety of good support stats. This item gives you 30 intelligence, 150 max health, 200 max mana, and 3 mana regen. And of course, the active on it is after 1.5 seconds, an area is created causing any gods that enter it or are already within it to become affected by stasis. And it lasts for 2 seconds on a 90-second cooldown. Now, as you can see, this item definitely not crazy stats. However, it does have good stats for what it's for. This item is not a build it every game item. I think it's primarily good on enchanter type of supports. So characters like Aphrodite or Ra or Baron Samedi, even Yamoja can use this item very well. A 30 intelligence makes it so your abilities do more damage, and on certain characters, it also makes it so your healing does more. And then the max health it provides also makes it so you're a tiny bit tankier. But where it really shines is the mana and the mana regen. This is giving you 200 max mana and 3 mana regen. That really helps keep you in fights longer because you're actually able to use your abilities more often. So overall, I don't think it should be built on every support. However, if you're an aggressive support that benefits from intelligence, or a support that is mana hungry, or just in general a support that utilizes zone control pretty well, I think this item could be phenomenal on those types of characters. Now with stats out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about important use cases and when you'd actually want to go this item. Scepter of Dominion at its core is a utility zone control item. This item essentially gives you and your entire team, as well as the entire enemy team, an Aegis effect that makes it so they can't do anything. You're preventing all damage and all movement. This item is really good in team fights. If you can apply this item on your backline or the enemy backline, this is effectively a free Aegis for your entire team or a free setup for your entire team. It is very important to know that you really need good communication when using it though, because sometimes you can accidentally Aegis the enemy team out of one of your teammates' ultimate abilities. In that case, I don't super recommend this item in casual games. However, if you're in ranked or in your casual game, if your teammates are communicating, then I would say it's definitely worth looking into. If you're playing competitive, I think this is absolutely something you should be considering adding to your repertoire. This is a very good item. The zone control it offers is really nice, and it offers so many different tools using that stasis. One of my favorite use cases of this item is it doesn't stop your recalls. Meaning, if you communicate with your team, like if they're in a bad team fight and they're getting close to dying, you calm to them, hey, I'm going to use Scepter, start backing. Because what'll happen is once you actually pop your Scepter, they'll have that 1 to 2 seconds of backing. Scepter will last for 2 seconds and they'll get their full recall by the time Scepter ends. And the reason the enemies won't stop the recall, typically, whenever an enemy sees a Scepter of Dominion on the ground, their first instinct is typically to turn around and run away because they know the danger that that item can lead to. It allows you to effectively get your team a free back in a team fight where they would otherwise typically be dead, and it can just really turn the tide of any fight there. Another great use case of this item is objective control. Let's say that you are solo trying to defend a Fire Giant or a Gold Fury. Now, I'm not saying solo lane, I'm saying it's 1v5 right now. The rest of your team is dead. It is your job to try to steal that Gold Fury or Fire Giant. What you can do is pop Scepter of Dominion straight onto that objective and actually use the Aegis effect on the enemies to make it so they can't use their abilities anymore, allowing you a free Sunder onto the Fire Giant. Or if you're a ranged character, you can use your poke ability and take that last hit on the fire. Or similarly, if your teammates are alive and they're just not close enough, you can use it early to give your team the extra 2 seconds to get close enough to the Fire Giant and then win an otherwise lost firefight. Those are some of the biggest use cases I can think of for Scepter, but there's also some more obscure ones that can be pretty good. One of the more obscure use cases is that this item can actually stun towers and phoenixes as well. It doesn't work on Titans, Pyromancer, Gold Fury, or Fire Giant, but it can specifically stun towers and phoenixes. Now, what that means is, let's say that they're trying to backdoor a phoenix or a tower, and you know that you can't kill them, or you can't stop them from doing it, what you can do is by popping Scepter on your tower or Phoenix, you can actually make it so your Phoenix or tower is immune for those 2 seconds. And granted, the stasis effect does work on it as well, so it can't damage back. But again, that extra 2 seconds of damage immunity could be enough time for your team to collapse on that individual that is pushing your tower or Phoenix. That's another minor use case you can use it for, but not something to shy away from at all. There are definitely some powerful use cases in that alone. You know, there's a lot of split pushing comps right now in the meta, so that is absolutely something you should be aware about. Another big use case I want to talk about actually piggybacks off of the back-end use case. Again, when enemies see Scepter of Dominion, that's usually a giant indicator that they need to turn around and walk away from that area. So what I like to do is I like to use Scepter of Dominion to actually block out an entire lane of an area of escape. Think of Scepter of Dominion like a big Ymir wall, essentially. You can just pop it in the middle of lane, and an enemy has to decide, instead of running that way and getting stunned, they have to walk the other way, a way that you can control. And a lot of times this can lead to them getting cornered. They can put themselves into a horrible choke point, and if your team has high area damage, you can collapse on them a little bit easier. There's a lot of use cases like that as well that can really lead to you and your team coordinating on getting a free pick in a team fight, whether it's a tank or squishy. Using that zone control of this item is very nice. And again, this is an item. This isn't one of your core abilities that you have to worry about mana or cooldowns. This is straight up just an item. It does have a 90-second cooldown, but you can use it with other abilities as well. Say on Yamoja, for instance, you could use your ult in one part of the fight and use Scepter in the other, making it so they only have one area they can fight in. This item can provide so much utility in that area as well. And with all that said, that is why I think more people should absolutely be building this item. It is very strong. I think at the very least, most of you should at least give it a try. It is very fun. It fits really nicely into builds. I typically wouldn't recommend rushing this item or getting it last. I think it's a very nice middle of the pack item. You know, you get your core items, you're looking for something to counter build, bam, Scepter of Dominion. I think it's a perfect slot filler item. You have to remember it does take up one of your active slots, so that is a downside there. However, the active it provides is very useful, as you heard me talk about earlier, and I definitely recommend giving this item a shot in more of your games, especially if you play a lot with friends or on a team. And with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. If you did, please leave a like, comment that you're going to try Scepter of Dominion now, and let me know how it goes. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace out and have fun.